Let no one be under any illusion. Ireland is not going forwards. Ireland is going backwards. I was unbelievably lucky. I was blessed, in fact, to have been born into one of the safest, one of the most vibrant, one of the most interesting societies anyone could be born into. Ireland. Yes, Ireland. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Marvellous time. And we always had a sense here in Ireland that, having come from a pretty difficult start when we left, exited, broke away from the British Empire, we didn't have a lot going for us. It has to be fair to say. We didn't have a lot going for us. We were a pretty agrarian economy. Wasn't a lot of industry. People were generally poor. But over the decades, with a few bumps along the way, because nothing's ever perfect, we progressed. Every generation moved on, progressed, was doing a bit better than the previous generation. And that was pretty much the story of the 20th century in Ireland. And we also managed to maintain, along with this progress, we managed to maintain that unique society, that unique brand of Irishness, that unique us. I'm talking about the humour, I'm talking about the way of going on, the way of interacting, the way of talking, all those wonderful things that made us us. Now, once we moved from the 20th century into the new age, the 21st century, which we are now in, very well in, a lot of things started to happen, and started to happen very fast. And as far as I'm concerned, at some point after maybe, 2005, maybe 2010, things started to really go downhill. And that, of course, coincides, as you well know, with the adoption of this open borders policy, this new way of doing things, this great, grand, glorious experiment that our government decided to embark on. Despite, of course, having seen how that great, grand, glorious experiment was working out in places like Sweden and France and Belgium, and of course our nearest neighbour, Britain. The results were already very much in on this, and the results were not, let's just say they weren't encouraging. But anyway, our politicians, in their wisdom, and I use that term in the loosest possible way, decided, you know what Sweden and Britain and France, what they're all doing and experiencing, we want a piece of that action because that's all going so absolutely well. We want some of that. And anyway, we got some of that, and we're getting a hammering of that at the moment. Irish society is being dismantled as we speak. You only have to step outside your front door on any given day. You only have to go to the shops on any given day. You only have to stroll around your local suburb or town or village on any given evening or night. And I wouldn't advise that, not in these times. Bad things tend to happen rather too often that never happened before. Of course, we know that this influx of hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world, of all different shapes and sizes and types, has caused immense upheavals in the Irish way of life. And cheered on, of course, by the political class, who not only don't see anything wrong with it, they actually want more of it, and including all the political class here, the Sinn Féiners, the Soc Dems, all of the people before gulags, all these people, they're all the same. They're all the same. It's just this. That's a pantomime. That whole thing is a circus. It's a circus. It's a performance thing. They all want more of it. So a vote for any of them is basically a vote for more of that. Now, I talk about the crime thing a lot here, and the crime thing is front and centre in a lot of people's minds because the country is not safe anymore. The country is not particularly safe for women and for children. As we know, about the 10-year-old girl a couple of weeks ago who was viciously sexually assaulted in an immigrant centre. And the government can't bury that quick enough. So we all know that pretty much every day the crime incidents are just racking up, are mounting up almost to the point of numbness to people now. That they're just so prevalent in the daily news cycle. But here's another thing that I want to put your way. And press that subscribe button if you haven't already, because this is the place where we uncover and unearth inconvenient truths and facts that the government and the regime do not want you to hear. Well, you'll hear it from me, because I believe in Ireland and I believe in the Irish people. And I want our society back. I want my country back. I want my society back. And if we keep playing the game that the regime wants us to play, we're never going to get it back. It's going to disappear. We'll go the way of the Aztecs. And I don't want that. And I suspect neither do you. So another thing, apart from the crime and the machete attacks and the little children getting raped by foreign, new to the parish people who shouldn't be here, here's another thing, another reason why society is going backwards. Disease. Because with the influx of people from all parts of the globe, you get an influx of disease from all parts of the world. Why? Because it's open borders. Nobody gets checked for anything. If an Afghan comes in and says he's 18 or 17 or 15, but in actual fact is 29, the state doesn't ask any questions. It just writes down the number, and then they put them into a class in secondary school with your daughters or sons. That's how it works. And I'll tell you what else they don't seem all that bothered about. Disease. As part of the great progress, or progression, if you like, of the 20th century, where with very little money and very little going for it, there was no EU then for the vast majority of it, and then there was only the EEC, which was kind of a loose thing, and I'd happily go back to the EEC. I was a fan of the EEC. Yeah, I'd go back to that. I don't want what it became, this all-encompassing empire. Nobody bought that deal, but that's what we ended up with. Anyway, I'll not talk about that now. Disease. In the 20th century, the government, with the limited resources it had, put a lot of money into eradicating certain diseases that really were a big problem, particularly tuberculosis, TB. They really went all in to try, because we were, at one point around the 1900s, we had one of the highest mortality rates for TB in the whole of Western Europe. Ireland had. It was a huge problem. People were really, really dying a lot with TB. A very, very big problem for society. The government went all in on that. All in. And they did a very good job, because pretty much eradicated it. Pretty much did. When I was growing up in the 70s, nobody was talking about TB at that stage. Okay, we knew about it maybe in cattle and stuff like that as a thing. But in people, no. I'll tell you what else we never had an issue with, really. Leprosy. Leprosy. Yeah, you know leprosy. You hear it in the Bible all the time, Bible stories. And leprosy is still a very big thing, as is TB. Not here, though. Not here. No, we didn't have it. But we do now. TB and leprosy. Where are they still big deals? I'll tell you where. India, Bangladesh, parts of Africa, parts of the Caribbean. Yeah, still rife with TB and leprosy. And what's happening with this open borders situation? Apart from what you know already, the violence part of it, the machete attacks part of it, the stabbings attack, the sexual assaults, apart from that, and that's another story which I cover quite often. Think about this. You know what else they're importing? Leprosy. Yes, Ireland now has cases of leprosy. And also a re-emergence of tuberculosis, TB. People are coming here, fetching up here from certain parts of the world where these diseases are still very much on the cards, and they're just rocking into Ireland, very, very ill, infecting all those around them, Irish people included, if not mostly, and then they're just throwing themselves onto the public health service, which you and I are paying for. And that's not even to get into the whole HIV thing. Do you know the rates of HIV are rocketing? Not because Irish people are suddenly getting AIDS. No, it's because people are coming to Ireland with AIDS. And again, they're just rocking up to the local hospital, sign themselves in, and everything's for free. What's not to like if you're a very ill person? Well, It's great. Come to Ireland and just sign or put an X or whatever you do, and Ireland will take care of you. Ireland will pay a fortune in terms of treatment to look after you. Meanwhile, Irish people, including little kids, can't get life-saving operations, can't get life-saving care. You only have to think back just a few weeks ago to the unfortunate scoliosis debacle with Harvey Morrison Sherritt, who died tragically and shouldn't have. And because Simon the T-Boy Harris, who's still in office, oh yeah, he just braved it out. He didn't even have the morality to just say, look, I absolutely screwed that up to the nth degree. I should probably resign. I'm not the right guy for this. No self-awareness. He just went to his Oasis concerts, did a few press conferences where he tried to look as sad as he could, and then he just carried on as usual. Went on to the next thing. So we already have a health service here that's buckling. It's dysfunctional in many ways. And on top of that, we're importing people from India, Bangladesh, the Congo, Brazil. Brazil is still a big TB problem in Brazil. And no one is asking any questions whatsoever. And there's many other countries that I could name off that also have all these diseases that we never had, or at least we have pretty much eradicated at great expense to ourselves. Now they're all back. And they're all coming back. And our health service, which is already, as I said, pretty dysfunctional, we have to now shoulder that. And the government's just shrugging its shoulders, pretending it's not a big deal, not talking about it. Well, I'm talking about it. Like, at this point, all we're really short of is an outbreak of Ebola. I mean, it could happen. It could happen with the way the system is working now, and with the way the open borders is working now, and with this lack of any checks or balances, or anybody being vetted, or anybody being scrutinised, anybody being checked as they come. Why not Ebola? Why not? Why not yellow fever? Ireland is going backwards. The Irish government, or regime as I would call them, they have embraced chaos because all they really care about is GDP. GDP. That's all they care about. They don't care if leprosy makes a return here or TB takes off again. And there are some pretty violent and virulent strains of TB now that are resistant to a lot of drugs. They can be cured, but it's extremely expensive. Who's going to foot that bill? I'll tell you who. You and I. We're going to foot that bill. And a lot of the people who come in with it are going to be sitting on welfare and they don't have to pay anything. And I don't think that's right. I really don't think that's right. When Irish children and elderly and everybody else are getting letters in the post from the health service executive, the HSE, saying, listen, yeah, we can't really get to you till, I don't know, maybe 2028. We'll keep you on the list. If anything comes up, we'll let you know. That's what people are getting, those letters. You know it and I know it. People are getting those letters. Yet we are importing tuberculosis, leprosy, HIV, AIDS. The government doesn't care. They're just letting it roll. Let it roll. Let the chips fall where they may. And I don't think that's a good plan. I don't think that's a good plan at all. Anyone who wants to come to this country from foreign, especially way off foreign climes, where diseases like this are prevalent and are the norm, they must be screened. When did we forget this? You look at Australia, that you have to be healthy. That you can't just rock up there and just waltz in the door. No, I believe they check you there. You have to be checked out medically. They don't want leprosy breaking out there. They don't want TB breaking out. And they're right. They're absolutely 100% right. And we could do it. But we choose not to. Why? That might offend somebody with leprosy. Can't do that. That's impolite. Can't be impolite to anyone for any reason at any time, anywhere. Well, I say, I don't think chaos is a good way to run anything, especially a country. Is it too much to ask that Ireland stays free of tuberculosis, leprosy, Ebola, yellow fever? I could go on and on and on. Is that too much to ask? Because I'll tell you what, there was nobody back in my day coming down with yellow fever or leprosy or TB. We'd even eradicated polio. We were making great strides for a country with nothing. Now they tell us we've never been so well off. And for our trouble, never being so well off means you might get stabbed or attacked with a machete or sexually assaulted if you go out for a jog, or you might catch leprosy. Well, I don't think that's progress. I don't think that's the kind of progress I don't want. If that's progress, leave me out of it. I'll take what we had, because that was far better than the current progress they're telling us we have. And as for GDP, well, GDP can go and kiss my